Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. Our third story of the day is a juicy one. Nick says of Kaitlyn Bristowe, "I was a pawn in her love story." He goes on a pretty long rant about why he ended up not liking Caitlyn after he said she strung him along. He said, "I don't want to date someone like that." It's pretty brutal. We're going to get into it. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals. I'll be live around 10 or 10:30 a.m. this morning on Patreon at patreon.com/Dave Neal as soon as I get back from taking my dog to the vet to get his flu shot. Yeah, they have canine flu. We got to make sure he doesn't get the old sniffles, our senior basset hound. Okay, so how did this all begin? Well, Kaitlyn Bristowe had commented recently when she had Blake and Giannina on her podcast. Yes, that's right. This all goes back to the Katie Thurston feud. Kaitlyn couldn't seem to understand why Nick would do the very thing he has spent countless podcast episodes berating Blake for. I was like, no way he's shit on Blake for this. But the fact that he was just reading out these texts, I'm like, what is he doing? Blake and Giannina continue to agree with Kaitlyn's take on the most recent events. Kaitlyn pointed out that Nick is currently on a trip to Europe with his girlfriend Natalie, adding, "It's so interesting that he was just so bothered by something that Katie's done while he's on vacation." Blake, Giannina, and Kaitlyn could not see why Nick would do something so petty and hypocritical after Katie's simple reply, which was, "I have Nick blocked." Yes, Katie saying "I have Nick blocked" has created a windfall of content as Nick tried to expose Katie with text messages, and then Blake Horseman says, "This is exactly what he got mad at me for," and now Kaitlyn chimes in, and Nick responds today on his podcast. And of course, look, I don't blame him. He's got a book coming out. This is the type of thing he's got to drum up whatever sort of press he can. And talking about his ex Caitlyn is a big one. Nobody's got a bigger platform than Nick and Kaitlyn Bristowe. They're both on the Mount Rushmore of alumni with large media, and his book coming out will be a big deal. So let's go into what he said about Caitlyn.
Do you watch The Bachelor? I don't like. Have you?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I was on The Bachelorette the second time and Caitlyn broke up with me, different situation altogether. But
by the way, is it just me or did Nick look like he's got a straitjacket on? You know what I mean?
different situation altogether. But obviously, I was emotionally invested when I took this big risk to like take another leave of absence from my job and like chase this girl that I had this 3 or 4 week love affair via FaceTime with. And well, very different. In those 4 weeks or so, we shared a ton and we were really connected and bonded. And then I took this big risk to go on this show. And I was just like, hey, I'm here for you. So like, don't fuck with me, please. Send me home if you like someone else. And then
yeah, but that's also just to interject as we do to say, I'm here for you. Don't F with me. Everyone who goes on the show, no one's time is worth more than somebody else's. He left a high paying job. Even if someone's unemployed, they're still spending their time to go on the show. So we have to all go into it as equals here. So he's kind of saying that guilty thing that we all say, like, hey, I mean, it's like Hayden saying, hey, my dog's dying. I'm going on the show. Don't waste my time. No one wants their time wasted. Of course, Clayton Eckerd was sort of exposed by Rachel and Gabby for making the story all about him. But that's what the leads do. They make the story about them, and all the contestants get to vie for their love.
A lot of shit happened while filming, all that led up to me being pretty confident the day of, right? And then she chose another guy, right? And now granted, hindsight 2020, I'm really thankful that how things played out. But in the moment, I was really upset. I was really angry at her. I felt heartbroken. I felt sad, and I was mourning the loss of all these things we shared, and that she was in this relationship, and I didn't even have the ability to talk to her about anything. I just had to go away, and that was hard. But that being said, I just remember feeling like it was that much easier for me to get over, because quite honestly, I was just like, who does that? At the time, I felt like she was incredibly selfish. And
wow. Who does that? Every bachelor and bachelorette, everyone who gets into their final 3, some say they love you to multiple people. Of course, if you guys remember, Nick on Caitlyn's season, they had sex before the fantasy suite, which was seen as some, obviously she was slut-shamed over it from a certain audience base that was like, you can't have sex before he gives you the key. Chris Harrison hasn't given you the key yet.
only considered her feelings as the bachelorette and that I was just kind of like a pawn in her love story. And I didn't feel like she was very honest with me. I felt like she was cavalier with my feelings, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And again,
wow, calling her, well, would you say that he's calling her a liar? He says she wasn't honest with him, cavalier with his feelings, and says that he was just a pawn in her love story. I mean, he's not exactly wrong as far as how the show goes. The cast members are pawns and she is the queen. It is a chess game. She's the one in charge. There isn't 12 kings and queens. This isn't Bachelor in Paradise. This is the Bachelorette.
Like, I got over it and I'm fine and all grateful, but like that really helped me get over her pretty fast. I was kind of like, I don't want to date.
Now, he could leave it at that. Oh, she left me roasted and heartbroken. I could get over pretty fast. Done. He keeps going.
Someone like that. I don't want to date someone I don't know if I could trust her. And I kind of just had to see her a different way, even though I was still feeling heartbreak and loss. And I was still feeling love at the time for her. I had to like tell myself, I'm like, nah, I don't want to date someone like that. And
by the way, what is this white line? Doesn't it look like my screen's broken? This is on the whole video. What is this?
I meant it too. And I really started seeing her in a different light. You know, it didn't make everything go away in that moment.
But that's what happens after every breakup, Nick, right? After every breakup, you start seeing someone as a human and you lose the rose-colored glasses and you see people for their flaws. And likewise, she's no longer showing you the most pleasant side of herself. It's like, all right, I'm not into you anymore. Now she can talk like a real human, not someone who's trying to win you over.
But I really, like, I could honestly, like, start listing off the things I didn't appreciate that she did, how she handled situations, how I'm like, wow, that was really fucking reckless with my heart. Like, there's no way in that moment, based on what she did and how she said it and what I said to her, there's no way she can convince me, now that I'm looking at it, that she actually really gave any shits about like my feelings. You know, people always say like, you know, I feel bad. I feel like they don't feel bad. They feel bad that they feel like the bad guy. But they don't feel bad like they actually cared about your feelings in the moment.
Now, I don't know the difference. I get what he's saying, but it's like saying everyone's selfish. Yes, in the end, everyone wants whatever they want for their best self-interest. I'm getting married to the person I love. Why do I love her? Because she provides me joy. Like, in the end, it's about what fills up our own love well. So it's tough to say like, oh, she didn't care about what decision she was making. Everyone presents differently in those decisions. But then again, don't get me wrong. This is his opinion, which he is entitled to. And if you're ever going to share your opinion, this is the exact moment in time. This moment in time. When you do it, when you're selling a book, put this in the book.
Right? Like, it's fine. Yeah, we all need to apologize from time to time because sometimes we can be inconsiderate.
By the way, I figured it out. This white line here is the sound bar for when the other person talks, but the other person hasn't talked, so that's why it looks flat.
And we can be selfish, right? And when we recognize that, we say, hey, I'm sorry for being selfish. I'm sorry for being inconsiderate. And if it's someone that we call a friend or a lover or family, like, it's really important to mean I'm sorry, and to learn from that mistake and replicate that mistake, because are you really sorry? Do you really care about me? Did you really learn from this like selfish moment or this inconsiderate moment? Because you seem to do it over and over and over. And when they do it over and over, you have to start accepting that's who they are. And
all right, so Nick's saying that Caitlyn has sort of built this character over and over. Now, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to think about the receipts. Leave a comment. Has Caitlyn built this character where she's very selfish about how she feels? I'm not sure.
And then that's how they're going to treat you in a relationship. And when you see it that way, I think it makes it a lot clearer that even though it does make it sad that you lost what you had, and it doesn't make it immediately go away, like I said, but like you can kind of be like, I don't know if I really want to be in a relationship with this person. I enjoyed the friendship that we had, but the truth is, like, it was more than a friendship. It was, I had feelings, and I have other friends, and like I've said many times before, you just start seeing it as, all right, well, I did like this. I want to replicate this. I don't want to replicate that. And you start, using it as a lesson for like looking for people in the future. As far as your immediate, problem, I think you just really have to challenge yourself.
All right, so now he goes into the advice he's giving the caller, but I agree with him that like when you break up with someone, you don't need to be their friends. I'm always that way. When this ex I broke up with, she's like, can we just remain friends? It's like, I have friends. Like, I think a lot of people want to remain friends because they don't like finality and closure. But I was like, that our relationship's over. You don't get to be my friend. You don't want to be, you know what I mean? That idea totally get. But very interesting what he's saying about Caitlyn here. Very interesting. I'm told he brings it back at the 43-17 mark. So let's just have a quick listen.
This things that happened between us, all the things she said to me, all the things she shared, all these moments, and I could obsessed over these moments, right? Now, granted, I had the benefit of not being able to see her and have her not in my life, which helped, and you don't have that. But I chose in that moment to say, no, wait, like that was all kind of fucked up. And she made these choices. And while I don't think she's a bad person, I don't think she's the type of person I quite frankly thought she was or want to be in a relationship with. And that made it a lot easier to get over.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't happen overnight, but I just kept reminding myself anytime I had a moment of weakness, I was like, wait, what am I missing? That's not who I want. That's not someone I want to trust with my heart.
Which, by the way, I think that's good advice for breakups to, like, if you have a moment of weakness, just remember by the way, here's Caitlyn's thoughts on it all. She's just sleeping. But I think if he was talking about an ex that we didn't know and he was just speaking about an ex, I would say, yeah, that it sounds all good. But the fact that he's talking about Caitlyn, he knows what he's doing here. So let's see if Caitlyn's got any responses. All right, Dancing with the Stars.
That gold outfit.
Dancing with the Stars. Dancing with the Stars. So it doesn't.
Clayton, I haven't.
All right, so it doesn't look like she has anything there, but we do see that Kaitlyn Bristowe got the exclusive interview with Susie and Clayton about their breakup. So we will be covering that next. Let me know what you think. Will Kaitlyn Bristowe respond? As far as I know, this lady right here, Kaitlyn Bristowe, she has a hard time not responding. So the podcast wars continue. Katie Thurston, what have you started? We'll be right back.